We're all capable of it. No matter who you are on the other side of this screen, you are capable of it too. But just remember, mental toughness, it's not being led by your emotions, but recognizing what you're feeling and using your emotions to make you the best version that you can be. Not the most strong, not the most attractive, not the most famous, but the most mentally clear and in self-control. So use these tools, implement them, and your mind might just be the thing that up-levels you in a quantity that your physical muscles never could. Welcome back. Most people, predominantly males, have an ancient societal expectation to be strong, physically strong. Now, with social media's abundance of fitness influencers, the increased complexity of action films and apps that help us to find love through image, the desire to be physically strong and the sort of internal, subconscious sense that we need to be physically strong is possibly more prominent than ever before. But what about mental strength? If you watch just 5 minutes of SAS Who Dares Wins, you'll have heard Ant Middleton bellow something about how their mind will give up far before their body does, and any disbelief on this point is proven throughout the 8 days that the civilians or even celebrities do the unthinkable challenges put in front of them. The thing is, the thing that always stops us first, aside from injuries or disabilities, is in fact our mind. Because even the teeniest seed of thought can weasel its way into the strongest man and woman's mind and break them. So in a modern world that seems to have the answer for everything, our physical strength is rarely needed unless we take ourselves to the gym or push ourselves to take on a physical challenge, such as a marathon or a Tough Mudder or a hardcore sport. In short, there's no doubt that we could survive without exerting barely any energy in the modern age, because it's just not a necessity for our survival anymore. And so what we're talking about here today in this video, and in the following 5 steps, is not survival, but mastery. Mastery of the mind, so that you can not just survive, but thrive in today's world. We can all survive in today's world, we can all sit on the sofa and eat Wotsits all day, but to thrive, that's the real challenge. So that if you decide that you want to achieve something, but you don't have the resources to necessarily achieve it straight away, or you're seemingly very far away from it, and society would say, no, you can't do that, there's no way, then you'll already have the most important resource that you could ever have in hoping to achieve something. Mental strength. So don't just watch this video and then move on to something else. Take notes, watch it all the way to the end, and then reflect on the one step that you need to work on the most, and then go back and watch that step again. I'm not joking. If you actually want to change, if you want to be mentally tough and you want to achieve all the things that you want to achieve, you have to put in the work. Because if you choose not to do what I've just suggested, then you're already holding your hands up and saying that you do not care enough about being mentally tough, or about the dreams and aspirations and goals that you have. Remember, improving anything isn't glamorous, and it's not always fun and shiny. It's hard work, it's repetition, it's practice and improvement and constant self-reflection. And usually, the journey never actually ends. I wouldn't even describe myself as mentally tough, nor the most stoic man in history. But we can start that journey today, and we can get closer to that place of mental toughness. So if you're ready, if you're prepared, then let's go. Number 1, set clear goals and focus on them. Like really focus. I recently outlined the importance of setting values and how to find what your values are in this video here. So my recommendation, if you haven't already seen it, would be to go and watch it now, and then come back to this one. Or add it to the queue for after you finish this one. Setting out a list of goals or priorities is essential for mastering mental toughness, because it's something to continue to draw back to. Throughout your year, your month, your year, you are going to be presented with distraction after distraction after distraction, and it will be a challenge not to give in to them. Like motivation, mental toughness doesn't just come out of nowhere. You don't just suddenly one day become a weapon of resilience and unbreakable mental strength. It's something that comes out of the person we work on becoming, the values and priorities that we set for ourselves, and our discipline in sticking for them. So figuring out what yours is super important. So that values video and also the task that I'm going to set you now. Set for yourself 3 priorities for this year, for 2023. What are the 3 things that are most important to you in terms of how you're going to spend your time, your energy, and your finances this year? For instance, mine are firstly to accelerate growth in the mindset and self-improvement space. So that's the online space, that's the in-person space, that's all aspects of those areas. Number 2, to be bolder in business. So to be more confident in my decisions, to take more risks, to be more confident in myself. And 3rd, to recognize and maximize moments of fun, adventure, and connection. I don't get a huge amount of time to chill out because I'm always working. So to maximize and actually recognize when I'm feeling connected and having some fun, or the possibility of adventure is there at my fingertips to just reach out and grab it. Otherwise, if you just spend your whole time on your laptop hustling away, there's never many standout memories. And realizing that is something that I want to take action on this year. Once you've established your 3 priorities, write a list of a minimum of 9 goals that you want to accomplish by the end of the year. Make sure that there are at least 3 that are in alignment with each of your priorities. So 3 goals relating to your first priority, 3 goals relating to your second, and so forth. And then keep those priorities, those original 3, by your bedside table. Look at them every morning and every evening. Check in with them before you start your day, and again before you go to sleep. Ask yourself, is what you did today, how you spent your time, who you spent your time with, the way in which you've showed up, the energy that you invested into the specific situations you were in, the mindset you embodied, is how you showed up in alignment with those 3 priorities? And at the end of the week, check in with your goals. Are you any closer to accomplishing those 9 things? And second of all, what are 3 steps that you could take in the next week to get closer to them? And then finally, what is something that you did in the previous week that took you further away from those goals and sort of put you out of alignment with your priorities? Did you get blindingly drunk? Did you get swept up by sales and buy something that you didn't need? Did you say yes to something when you really wanted to say no? Did you lose your temper? Accept those slip-ups and determine to beat the week that you've just had this week. You see, questions like that, and you might want to go back and re-listen to what I said and note them down, are so important in helping you to become mentally tough, in short. So number 2, take control of your thoughts. Just like external distractions, your mind will feed you thoughts that attempt to take you off the path that you know you want to be on. These thoughts will always come from you. But when they're based on old habits, current beliefs that might be based on previous experiences, or possibly even things that people have said to you, they can be really challenging to silence and keep quiet. So accept now that you will never, ever be able to silence those thoughts. They'll never be gone. They will always exist. But most of us are 80% unconscious, living life out of habit, on autopilot, acting on impulse rather than intuition, and being led by an egoic mind that is driven by fear of not being enough and therefore desiring more, yet continually focusing on lack. We are automatically wired to be this way. So it's nobody's fault, it's not wrong, we are actually wired to be that way. We are animals that have adapted over millions of years to survive in tough conditions. But this is not the problem. The problem, or challenge as you guys know I call it, is that our intuitive, higher authentic selves also exists, but barely. Our continued focus on things external to us, for instance, screens, consumerism, hustle, takes us further away from self-awareness. And this makes it really difficult for us to know what's truly right for us, and makes that gut instinct even harder to hear or feel. So controlling your thoughts isn't actually about deleting the ones that don't serve you. Rather, it's about giving more power to the ones that are truly authentic to you. The ones that allow you to be truly present with yourself and with others, that help you to have direction and to show up as your best. So that you can be in a place where both your logical mind and your fighting mind is equal to your intuitive mind. And you can choose which of those minds is right for you in the moment. When it's best to use logic, and when actually maybe it's best to consider what is uniquely right for us. Number 3, manage stress. When we're stressed, we clog up our mind with racing thoughts that actually prevent us from having the clarity we're really searching for. Not only this, but when we're stressed, it takes up huge amounts of vital energy that's necessary for our health. When we allow ourselves to become stressed over long periods of time, even if only in small amounts, this can lead to the suppression of processes such as digestion and the immune response. Because the body and the mind's way of trying to prioritize the stressful symptoms that you're implying are the most important is by shutting down the ones that are less needed in that instance. Not only this, but by being stressed, the actual part of the brain involved in your emotional processing heightens, which leads you to experience a heightened sense of danger. And in most cases, that sense of danger isn't even there if you're anxious about a social situation that really is just all happening up here. So honestly, find a method of coping with stress that works for you. It could be running, meditating, walking, swimming, journaling. Just don't pick talking. Because unless you are incredibly wealthy, or you know somebody that will be willing to listen to you not only for 24/7, but has no intention of ever dying or spending time on other commitments, you will exhaust that resource. Talk to yourself by all means. In fact, please do talk to yourself, because that is the only way that you can actually be proactive in your ability to manage stress, rather than waiting until you have a physical reaction before intervening. But aside from these really common forms of preventing stress, there are other more overlooked methods. For a lot of people, stress arises in work frequently, as an understatement, either because of unexpected situations or simply because they have too much work to do and not enough time to do it in. And as unfair as these situations can seem, learning how to manage your time and making space in your week for creative outlets that help you to just completely switch off are two other very powerful tools for dealing with and preventing stress. So even if you think you've got time management under control, see if there's anything else you can do. You're not at fault, we're just talking about ways to improve yourself, so be humble here. Another useful technique is humour. Humour is so powerful in decreasing the chemicals that are caused when we get stressed. And it's actually like a magic trick for giving us the feel-good ones. Even the act of smiling releases endorphins. So next time you're stressed, smile. Trust me. Number 4, seek out new experiences. The only way that we can grow is by either seeing things in a different way or by seeing different things. So get out of your comfort zone. And I know everybody's said it before and you've heard it a million times, but listen to what I'm about to say. If you play safe each day, then it won't be long before you get tripped up by a situation that takes you by surprise, that asks more of you than you have ever asked yourself, that pushes you beyond your breaking point, or triggers a part of you that you'd never been aware even existed before. You'll become so unprepared that your mind will let you down way before your body does. So your challenge is to get comfortable with what is uncomfortable. That means having that cold shower, not because it's nice, but because it's needed. That means going for a run in the rain, not to lose weight, but because there's a part of you that does not want to. That means taking a different route home, not because it's quicker, but because it's new. When we surround ourselves with the same people, we go to the same places, we eat the same foods, we have the same smells, our brain stops growing. Literally, we stop developing, we get slower. Well, why? Because we become used to what's around us, and our brain doesn't actually have to work as hard. Now, you might think that this is a mental failing, but it's actually not. Instead, it's an incredible development of the human mind. You see, it helps us to reserve our body's energy budget for the important stuff. We don't have unlimited energy. We have a specific amount of energy that our mind decides where to put. So if you're sat in the same house, doing the same role in the same job that you've had for 5 years, with the same housemate eating the same foods you like, this big stuff that your body is sort of reserving this energy for never comes. And it's just like our addiction to sugar and carbohydrates that comes from a deeply embedded knowledge that these foods contain high levels of sugar that are necessary if we need to run away from danger. So our mind loves what's comfortable because it means that it doesn't have to process different information, and so it can save its energy reserves. So if the majority of what you're seeing is the same, chances are you won't notice the small changes because your brain will sift it out, it will glitch. Unless it's something that's personally important to you. So if you're someone who likes a clean house, then mess on the countertop or a wonky picture frame, you will notice. But for other people who are seeing the same things and don't really care about that stuff, won't even notice it. So force your brain to keep working. Put yourself in uncomfortable situations and new environments. That's honestly the best way to keep your mind strong and sane as you get older and stay away from the terrible things like dementia and Alzheimer's and these other things. Number 5, forgive. You've most likely heard the quote, "Not forgiving somebody is like drinking poison and hoping the offender will get sick." That's a quote by Gary Smalley. You see, we often get angry and frustrated with people when they do something that goes against our expectations or our desires because we believe that they deserve our anger. But in most cases, the person most affected by our response is actually us. So by practicing not just forgiveness, in fact, that's not the right word at all, but compassion, which means love and understanding before, after, and during a situation, you actually allow yourself to stay calm. You're an unjudgmental human and have an uncanny clarity in recognizing the most appropriate things to say or do in those situations and staying in alignment with yourself, not looking for logic, but trusting yourself. Personally, I find it baffling that 2 individuals in a family can go 25 years without speaking simply because of a Christmas time argument when both were drunk and also both were at fault. It's a waste of our energy, a waste of our time, and all in all, a waste of our life. It might not seem it, but the ability to be compassionate is one of the best tools to master if you want to become mentally strong enough to handle any situation. We're all allowed to be upset, absolutely. We're all allowed to be angry, to be frustrated, and there's no judgment if that is the emotion that you choose. But please make sure that you are the one choosing it, not responding subconsciously as you allow yourself to react in line with those that you've watched, your parents, your family members, things that you've believed and what society might say is right or wrong. Whilst those strong negative emotions might feel like the only answer, we actually do have a choice. We have the ability to choose whether we put ourselves in the victim seat or whether we stand up and see the situation from the perspective of all of those involved, not just from where we're standing. Because we recognize that no one is intrinsically a bad individual, no matter what they've done. We simply all just act every second, every moment, from a place of, I think or feel that this is the best move right now. Even though if in hindsight, we realize that it definitely was not the best thing to do. So that's it. 5 ways to set you on the path towards a mental toughness. We're all capable of it. No matter who you are on the other side of this screen, you are capable of it too. But just remember, mental toughness isn't about not showing any emotion. It really, really is not. I do not want you to think that that's what it is. It's rather about understanding yourself and choosing how you think is best to respond. It's not being led by your emotions, but recognizing what you're feeling and using your emotions to make you the best version that you can be. Not the most strong, not the most attractive, not the most famous, but the most mentally clear and in self-control. So use these tools, implement them, and your mind might just be the thing that up-levels you in a quantity that your physical muscles never could. So, as always, if you gained anything at all from this video, please like, please subscribe, please share, comment, click the big bad bell button, and I'll see you next week. I appreciate you.